how can architects and designers maintain their creative passion in a fast-paced, highly competitive industry? And in this video, we're diving deep into this topic that plagues us all, burnout. And research has shown that burnout leads to decreased productivity and an increase in fatigue and errors. Now, this can be particularly troublesome for the creative industry, to where mistakes often create a burden to both the client and also to our own studio or firm's reputation. And in fact, the design industry has been identified as one of 5 fields that has a high level of burnout. And as of March of this year, burnout in the workplace, it's reached an all-time global high at 42%, which has exceeded what was previously at 38% back in spring of 2021. But fear not, my fellow designers, because I have a secret weapon for you. And it's a philosophy that's been around for centuries, and it's just as relevant today as it was back then. And I'm talking about essentialism. That's right, we're going to be talking about how this ancient philosophy can help us avoid burnout in our creative careers. Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name is Daniel Aros. I'm a licensed architect in Bloomington, Indiana. And I've designed and managed an array of project types and sizes, going from multifamily residential to urban design master plans, as well as higher education, just to name a few. And on this channel, we talk about architecture design and assess different tools, strategies, and just opportunities that we can implement to be able to have a successful and meaningful life and career. Now, over the past 5 years, I've held 3 different positions in the public and private sectors of architecture, all of which have been in a different area of the United States. And over the past few years, I've been thinking a lot about my relationship with work, and in particular, how I value my time and where I want to invest it. And what sparked this thought was after returning to the office after being remote the past few years, where the pace and intensity had increased to beyond a pre-pandemic rate, and I realized that I needed to change something in order to be able to continue on this career path that I enjoy and love, which is why I wanted to cover this topic with you all today, as I believe the notion of burnout, it's something that we're all dealing with. So on that note, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about what is the symptom that is causing burnout in the creative industry. In general, burnout has negative effects on our mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Whereas burnout in the creative industry, it refers to the fact of experiencing a level of exhaustion and reduced motivation that just happens to individuals who work in the creative fields. And this can be anybody from design, advertising, film, and writing. And moreover, creative burnout is specifically described as the loss of the ability to generate novel or useful ideas to everyday problems, and basically be a contributing member to a creative team and maintain that faith throughout your creative process for yourself. In creative work, it is often associated with long hours, intense pressure, and high levels of stress, which ultimately end up leading to burnout. And some factors that contribute to burnout in the creative industry include tight deadlines, high expectations, creative blocks, just the lack of recognition or even appreciation, as well as financial instability. For example, a writer may experience a level of burnout after experiencing some level of rejection or criticism on their creative work. Or something that I've experienced countless times on architectural projects is putting in long hours to be able to meet a crucial deadline. And what often ends up happening is that we do not get the time to be able to offset those extra hours and just recover where we need to. Instead, we're thrown right into the next project. And so that burnout just compiles and fatigue settles in. And in fact, this isn't uncommon to just my own experience and others within the architectural industry. As a 2022 study published in the Industrial Designers Society of America shows that on average, people in the design industry work between 45 to 60 hours a week on a normal basis. Additionally, creative work in general is just emotionally draining, as those of us who are designing, we're investing a great deal of ourselves to be able to manifest the projects. And by overextending ourselves, we end up in a state of just exhaustion and feelings of detachment from our work. And these excessive demands on our creative work can lead to a range of negative consequences, anywhere from decreased well-being, increased stress, and just reduced creativity. And beyond ourselves, I think it's critical for us to understand that burnout is detrimental to creative teamwork as well as the business overall. And this is very problematic in creative industries such as architecture, film, and music, where collaboration is an essential part of the creative process. And this is why we're going to go into how essentialism can help. Now, essentialism is a philosophy that primarily focuses on eliminating things that are non-essential to be able to focus on what is truly essential. And essentialism can be applied to many different parts of life, from personal relationships to professional pursuits. And it encourages us to allocate our time, energy, and resources to basically the things that truly matter, and eliminating distractions and any other unnecessary elements that are just hindering our progress and causing us to feel overwhelmed and burnt out. And here are 7 essentialism tips that we can implement in our lives to be able to avoid creative burnout. Tip number 1, prioritize your most essential task. First and foremost, stop trying to do everything at once and just focus on the critical task that is going to have the most impact for moving your work ahead. And one example of this is Pareto's 80-20 rule, also known as the law of the vital few. And it's a principle that states that roughly 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. And what this boils down to in the creative industry is that a small number of critical items is what's going to give you the maximum output for success in your industry. Tip number 2, say no to a non-essential task. If there's something that's non-essential or it can be delegated to somebody else, just say no. By saying no to non-essential tasks and any distractions that come your way, you're able to set clear goals and just focus in on the task and the work that are just going to have the most significant impact. And in turn, this is just going to free up your time and energy so you can focus on the critical matters. Tip number 3, establish healthy boundaries. Set boundaries around your work and personal life, such as specific hours for a particular task or just designated time for self-care. Now, I personally block out certain sections of my day for things like project management, designing, professional development. I even have to set time aside for lunch so somebody else doesn't take my time away from me. And if I didn't set this time aside to allow myself a buffer, for sure somebody else is going to sweep right in and take control of my schedule. And additionally, I turn off all phone notifications and I don't answer any work emails or phone calls after the work hours. I mean, this is something to where you just have to set a personal boundary to be able to have a healthy balance for yourself. And I learned a while back that what good does it do if somebody sends me a message at 8 o'clock at night and I answer it? If anything, I'm going to create a stressful situation for either myself or for that person, and the problem most likely can be resolved in the morning. So with that in mind, be respectful of other people's time and be sure to be able to create those boundaries so then you're able to focus on other critical matters in your own personal life. Tip number 4, take breaks and recharge. Make time for regular breaks as well as for longer periods just for rest and relaxation. And personally, I think that this tip is highly critical for us to be able to avoid burnout because we do need to take care of our well-being. And what I've personally done is I've recently introduced a midday nap or a daily siesta into my routine, as research shows that power naps on a regular basis have a long-term effect on memory improvement, enhanced cognitive function, and just increased creativity. And I can tell you that after my 20 or 30 minutes of napping, I'm feeling pretty recharged, and any anxiety that I may have been experiencing from the morning period has just gone. Tip number 5, practice self-care. Engage in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being, such as exercise, meditation, and just spending time with our loved ones. It's well known that regular exercise promotes an improvement of our cardiovascular health as well as strengthening our bones and our muscles. But did you know that breaking a sweat also strengthens your brain? When we exercise, our bodies release a variety of neurotransmitters, including endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. And these neurotransmitters, they play a crucial role in promoting our brain health and function. Endorphins, they're often known as the feel-good chemicals, and they are just released during exercise. They help us reduce stress and anxiety and just relieve pain. They also improve our overall mood and increase feelings of well-being. And dopamine, it's involved in pleasure, motivation, and reward, and it just helps us create an overall sense of pleasure and satisfaction. Serotonin, it's involved in mood regulation, and it's a critical one to be able to handle our stress and anxiety. And another one that helps reducing those feelings of anxiety and stress, it's the norepinephrine. And with that one, it helps improves our focus and just overall attention. So as a whole, exercise just helps balance our overall quality of life. Tip number 6, focus on meaningful work. Life is short. Prioritize the task and work that's most meaningful for you and just go after it. Now, if there's a certain project or task that you want to be able to work on, just be sure to ask your manager or whoever it is that is in charge and can make those decisions. You're never going to get a yes if you never ask the question. And this works whether you're in university or if you're in professional practice. For instance, whenever I was in university, I had a professor I wanted to work with in a design studio. So I approached him and let him know, and he made arrangements so then that way for the following term, I could be in his design studio. It was an amazing experience, and I learned a lot from it. And as a professional, I saw an opportunity to be able to work on a new international center at the university. And what I did is I approached the design lead on it and asked if I could be part of their team as a backup. And in turn, what ended up happening is I was able to co-lead a project with them. So it was an amazing experience that happened because I asked that question. Tip number 7, seek support. Reach out to colleagues, mentors, friends, and family whenever it is you need advice. We are not alone, and we need to be able to lean on our community. Just know that at some point in their lives, they most likely have come across a similar situation or may know someone who has. So take advantage of that opportunity, so use their experience to be able to help work through it. And of course, just remember to reciprocate that action when either they or anybody else needs your support for whatever it is they're going through. So at its core, essentialism, it's about creating a clear sense of purpose and direction and aligning one's action with that purpose. And in the context of the creative industry, essentialism basically can help us avoid burnout by prioritizing our creative work, setting realistic goals, eliminating distractions, and just taking out the non-essential tasks. And ultimately, addressing creative burnout, it's not only important for us as individuals, it is critical for the overall success and sustainability of the industry. Which is why it is critical for employers and us as individuals, basically to be able to prioritize our self-care and establish healthy boundaries. And this may involve setting realistic deadlines, taking regular breaks, and just engaging in mindful practices and seeking support from colleagues, family, and friends. And remember, it's also crucial for us to pursue interests outside of work. It is a live-work balance, not the other way around. So there you have it. What do you all think are some of the biggest contributors to burnout in the creative industry? Is it the fast-paced nature of our work, or is it something else? And tell me, whenever you're working on a project, how do you prevent burnout and just keep yourself motivated? Are there any specific strategies or anything that just has worked for you? Let's get a conversation going down in the comments and just help each other out. And I do hope that by using these essentialism tips that you can overcome burnout and get back to feeling motivated and energized about your creative work. So don't let burnout hold you back and just take charge of your life. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed today's discussion, and thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you heard today, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more from me, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, as I post new content every Thursday. So until then, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.